Hey everybody.
Hi.
We're here to virtually taste wines with you like we do every week. We do it here in person down here in the barrel room at Old North State Winery. We feature 4 different wines every week, and we cover 200 wines from around the world every year. Obviously we're a winery and we make wines here in the Yadkin Valley, but we also like to educate on wines of the world, and so we think it's important to frame our wines and their importance by framing the rest of the wines of the world. You may be able to hear right now, we're in the middle of harvest, and
Again.
almost feel guilty sitting here drinking wine with a chef, but not guilty enough to stop me. While Tyler and his team's out there, they're pressing grapes right now. We got a bunch of, looks like a bunch of red muscadines rolling in right now.
It's a little of both.
Yeah. And it's very
Honestly,
busy
we would
down
just
there.
be in their way. They got it down to a science out there.
Oh yeah.
And we would just be,
I have what people call psalm hands. Whatever that means. Anyway, so we're going to taste a couple of the wines from our Thursday night tasting. For those of you that can't be here in person, we do this virtual tasting, and we hope that you've picked up your packet and you're enjoying some delicious food that Chef Chris has paired with it. Now keep in mind he hasn't tasted these wines, so we don't know what the food is until he decides on the spot.
always have a couple of things,
Yeah.
kind of in reserve.
I love to surprise him. Well, he tests me every week with his menus.
It's only fair.
So I can test him with a surprise tasting for what food is. Okay, so we're going to start in Wilmette. This is a Pike Roads Pinot Noir, and this is a real value product here. And I'm all about bang for the buck. These wines from this region and Chef Chris can tell you he spent a week there spending his life savings. It can be quite pricey.
We spent some of my mother-in-law's life savings too, so appreciate that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
So, finding great value is somewhat of a challenge, and so whenever we find one, this isn't the kind of video that we can open $200 bottles of wine because we just don't charge.
We need a
those
different
kind of
video.
Yeah, that'll be our next video. But if we get the right sponsors, we could do that. So this is more in our wheel well price-wise, our budget, if you will, and so
It sure ain't drinking like it.
right, yeah, a nice
I can
surprise
tell you,
for you,
I can
Chef.
tell you
You
that.
happy?
Well, you kind of built it up before we started filming. You were talking about having to try to find something that would fit, and I was like, oh, good. Pinots don't normally do that.
They
This
don't.
one does.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
Chef,
you can find all kinds of great wines at certain price points, but
Pinot's
Pinot's
hard.
kind of like, they forgot to get on the memo on that.
it's very difficult. Well, Pike Roads is actually the sister.
Something tells me it won't be affordable next year.
All right. This is the sister winery to Elk Cove. We've had a lot of success with Elk Cove, a legend. Actually, I was telling our winemaker that we have several barrels from Elk Cove. Down here, we're in the barrel room. Several of them have the brand of Elk Cove. So this is a sister. Now, they allocate grapes from all over the region. I think there's 6 different farms that are family operated and that they source from. So hand-picked grapes is often the way to get the delicious wine that you want in the glass for a much lower price. And people don't realize that there's a lot of ways to make wine. You don't have to be a farmer, but if you know a farmer, you need to know one and trust him or her. So it's an important process there when you are, if you're a negociant, if you will, or if you're sourcing grapes, to have that relationship with the farmers. And we do it here as well. We're sourcing grapes. We can't grow enough grapes for the size of our winery, so we have to source grapes as well.
It's one of the most common things in the world, and I can tell you it's a lot easier to do out in Oregon because they don't, the wineries there are very community, they're not competitive. I mean, they actually have symposiums all the time where all the winemakers, like the top people, they all get together and bring the younger winemakers and the newer owners into their wineries and into the fold, and you know, they're very helpful, and you know, the kind of the all ships rise kind of thing. So certainly, I guess it's not surprising that you would have something so delicious here with all those helping hands out there.
Yeah, so this is not going to be quite as intense as some of those $200 ones, but it is absolutely wonderful. If you, I mean,
Absolutely
it is
delicious.
quintessential Pinot in my opinion. I mean, you know, it's also got a nice weight to it, Chef. A little mouthfeel going on.
Boy, it sure does. It's got, you know, not that it doesn't have red fruit, but it does have a surprising darker fruit to this, which is normally, you know, I'm just surprised because I think the darker fruit is lending to some of the bigger weight to it. It's delicious.
Sure. Yeah, it's a really bang for the buck. You know, this is it's a Pinot Noir you can have on Tuesday night, but it's also a Pinot Noir you can have on Saturday.
If I wouldn't tell anybody what I paid for it, and just to see their reaction to it, because I think, you know, when you roll out a Willamette Pinot, you know, that makes a pretty big statement, and I think that this is in line with what you would be impressed with by bringing out anything from that region. Pitt Roberts was a big Elk Cove guy back in the day at Undercurrent too.
Yeah.
You know, he was always a big.
They're legends, absolute legends. Yeah.
He was a big Oregon guy, but I mean, this is drinking way over its price point. Great find.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to do it. That's what I live for, and I've got great distributors that help me find these, and you know, it's just keep tasting and trying and exploring, and you just never know what you might find.
Well, outstanding find.
What you gonna throw food-wise this, Chef?
Well, I think we're just going to do a little charcuterie. We're going to do the spreadable salumi, which has been gone for a while. Love that spreadable Nadaya salumi with some. We've got some delicious Spanish olives and a little bit of that truffle goat cheese.
Wow.
I think that's going to be great with this. You know, just have a little
Yeah.
snacky poo. I'll put a little of our homemade focaccia toast points in with that, and
Beautiful.
kind of build a little something.
Yeah, truffles and Pinot.
Yeah.
Yeah, how can you ever go wrong with that?
Well, and that salumi has a little bit of spice to it.
It does.
You know, and I
Yeah.
think you know, this is kind of
I
fatty.
think this can handle it. I think
it's kind of fatty.
And you know, usually the old saying is when you have anything spicy, you want to go low tannins, and this is not tannic.
No, it's not tannic at all.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not dry, but this is not what I would call a super. You know, it's not super oaked or anything like that that would give it extra tannins. Lovely.
It is incredibly lovely. Yeah, I shouldn't be surprised. They always are, but
Thank you, Pike Road. We really appreciate
Yeah, Pike
offering
Road, you're on our
something
radar.
at such a fair price.
we're going to reward you by buying.
Once
a lot.
again, under $25, folks, for Pinot Noir from the. I mean, some might say
Which
the
is
most
not unheard of,
the most expensive wine
but from that region,
of
it's
Oregon.
unheard of. I mean, I bought a Pinot the other day, driving home from Tennessee. It was like $20. It was marked down from 25, and you know, it was totally average. It wouldn't hold a candle to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, $25 for a Pinot is, you know, from Central Coast or something like that is totally understandable. But you have to understand what that's going to taste like, and it's not going to taste like this.
Yeah, so here we go. We're going to move on to our next one. This is from our old friend down there, Mr. Paul Hobbs, who's spending his time making delicious wine in South America.
Thank you,
in
Paul
Argentina.
Hobbs.
Yes, for all he does, yep. And this is called cocodrilo. This is a cab-heavy blend.
Excuse me.
Beautiful, beautiful presentation here. I couldn't remember the small amount. Yeah, so it's 89% cab and just a 6% Malbec, 2% Cab Franc, 2% Syrah, 2% Merlot. So
I love how he only has 10% to play with and still gets all those grapes in it.
And I mean, he could just list this as a cab.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I love that.
you know, He does. I mean, he's a technician too. He wants, he wants wine geeks
For
like
sure.
you and I to
Yeah,
know it
for
all.
sure.
But as you can see, beautiful color, and we've been talking a lot about South African wines on the higher end. That's been our approach here lately. We've the Docero blends and single varietals of French. Of course, El Enemigo, which we're a big fan of, and of the Catania high-end selections that are quite expensive, but they're quite worth it. And so and also we've been dabbling in the Chardonnays too. So French varietals are dominant here, and of course, not many people think of Malbec being a French varietal, but that is a French varietal for sure. It's just more associated with South America now than anything. But here we have a beautiful cab, and the point I was bringing up here is that I love South American cabs, whether they're from Chile or Argentina. I'm a big, big fan, and I think this is a great example of I think it's just the modern day style that many palates are looking for, and Paul Hobbs is delivering it, not only, of course, back home in California where he,
And in France.
commands a hefty price tag for his wines in California, but here he gives you a lot of value.
Although I would say, of all the South American cabs we've had in the last few years, especially the Chilean ones, have that quintessential green to them.
Sure.
Leave it to Paul Hobbs for that not to be quite as pronounced. I feel this is a bit more lush than some of those bright green cabs you find from more of the indigenous winemakers there. Would you think that's true?
Well, yeah, I think Chile more than Argentina is going to give you more green, but I would say here that this is a beautiful, it gives you kind of that Bordeaux blend, but it's got Syrah, so you can't really say that, I guess, but it's just enough blend in there to add some interesting points. And it just goes to show how his brain works there, is that this cab needs something, and he's just adding 2% of this and got it to where he wanted it.
He got it.
I think that here you do get a little bit of, just like you said, there is green, and I think part of that comes from the Cab Franc, but there's oak influence here as well. It's just a really lovely, what I would say, this is a big wine.
It's so lush. Mm-hmm. A lot of people too.
Kind of reminds me.
I know in Chile it's really a big. A lot of winemakers in Chile do their reds in vats and concrete, and I know not everyone does, but the oak is really prevalent on this.
Yeah, there's beautiful tannins developing on my tongue.
Yes.
Quickly actually.
The second sip, they really came out.
It is plush, but there's a sufficient amount of tannins here, and I believe there's to me, I'm picking up really good acidity. Even though it's plush, the acidity kind of comes through late, and so that tells me that we've got a good food wine.
It's an outstanding wine all around. This is just so Paul Hobbs-ish.
Yeah, we've been featuring a lot of his stuff lately, particularly his Cross Barn stuff in the restaurant, and that's obviously from Sonoma. But there's lots that he offers for sure.
Well, and the Cross Barn is comparatively a great value too. It's kind of like if you want to have the Stagecoach, but you're not ready for a $300 evening. The Cross Barn gets you there for about $100, or I don't know. I don't know what it is now. It used to be in that $70 to $100 range. Is it still
70? Yeah. So,
but still,
it depends on the restaurant. We would never charge $100 for it.
Well, I just think that the Cross Barn is an amazing value for a Napa cab with his name on it. To whereas the Stagecoach obviously triple that, but I don't think you're not tripling down the quality.
Yeah, you're not dividing my food.
Anything Paul Hobbs is world class.
This isn't really this is a serious one.
It's a very serious.
And I think that people that don't necessarily like these bigger wines this is a more approachable
Very
big
much.
wine.
I completely agree.
I think
mean,
that
very
there's
much
some
so.
there's some people, when I do these tastings down here in the barrel room, and I usually mix it up between 2 whites, 2 reds, sometimes 3 reds, 1 white, whatever. And I always, have some regulars that come and they're not real big on heavily oaked wines, but every now and again I find one that I think kind of get through to them with, and I think this is going to be one.
This has a lot going
Would you like
on.
another taste, show?
Well, yeah, just because I'm still studying it.
Yeah, you need to study. It's
I had
important
some
to
more
study.
things to say, but I have no more examples. Thank
That's
you.
right.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Beautiful color here, richness. Obviously a decent amount of alcohol, 14.5, and could be more. I think it could be more, but
It's not drinking hot. That's
no,
for sure.
but it's not dainty.
Great legs.
That makes me happy, Chef. What kind of food would you like to throw
Well,
at this?
I'm gonna, because we're South African, South America, excuse me, we're gonna do some brisket with poblano jam.
Nice.
Brisket's
Yeah.
big in South America, and some peppers,
Yeah.
peppers in that. And so we're
Dig
gonna,
it.
it's
Yeah,
gonna be fun.
Yeah, the greenery.
The greenery from the pepper
Yeah,
and
like chimichurri and another
you betcha.
type.
Yep,
They
you
do
betcha.
like green in their food, and I think that's great.
the fattiness from the brisket's it's gonna do great with this. And I do a salt pepper crust, Texas style. So that's gonna pick up nice with this too. I think it's gonna be great. I'd like to have that right now.
Yeah, let's do it. It only takes like 16, 18 hours.
That's all.
right?
Won't be too bad.
It's like last week when we did the chef's table, and we're heading out about 11 p.m. Chef puts the briskets
Yeah.
in before we left the restaurant.
The whole restaurant smelled like
Yeah,
brisket.
come in the
'Cause,
next
all the
morning.
hoods were off, and it was just the two of us here, and you can't escape it. I mean, the dining room, everywhere you go, you can smell the brisket.
It's awesome. I love it. Well, Chef, we've just started opening on Wednesday nights. Tonight's our first Wednesday night.
Tonight's
opening.
tonight.
Yep, so we're really excited about that. And we're doing half-price bottles of wine for our ONS and Fish Hippie wines, so that's bringing a lot of interest. We continue to book more and more chef's tables for lunch and prefix meals and all these different avenues that we're doing to reach everybody at whatever moment they're in.
There's a lot of opportunities to enjoy the many facets of things we offer here at every price point, at every experience level. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we really enjoy it. We enjoy being your favorite burger place and being your favorite fine dining place, and that means the world to us. So keep stopping by the restaurant when you can. When you can be here in person, try to be here for the Thursday night 6 p.m. tasting. Yeah, it's a very social thing. It's not just me talking about wine. It's about socializing, and we got a fun group that comes. So if you're looking for a fun night out, that might be a way to do it.
It's all those things. It's and the consistency of it. You usually have to go even like wine shops, bottle shops. Once a month, twice a month, maybe you could get a tasting of the caliber that you put on, and to know that that's here every week, and the 4 bottles, and it's always different. I mean, that's like big city stuff, and you'd have to go to a lot of different places too. I mean, it's an incredible treat in a town our size for the show you put on. So worth taking advantage of.
Yep, come see us when you can, and I guess we'll call it a show, Chef. Head on out.
Sounds
We
good.
got work to do.
We got a lot going on today, and in a good way.
Yep, and I want to appreciate all you loyal viewers. If you can, tell a friend. If you're not enjoying the actual tasting, at least give us a watch and give us a like. We appreciate it. And until next week, we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend.